Today we're looking at the brand new 2026 MOTO MORINI Escape 700. And this is the second version that came out with the 650 a few years ago. And if I'm to be honest, I just knew MOTO MORINI as an old Italian brand. I didn't even know they were still doing stuff. But when the original Escape came out and they had posted it to Adventure Rider, I mean, it grabbed everybody's attention. The red and black, the look of the bike, and nobody had really heard of the new versions of them, at least in America here, so it was kind of apprehensive. Guys started to get them and they started to say, hey, this is a pretty good motorcycle, and I think they sold quite a few. Now, a few years later, they have upped the game. They have increased it by 50 cc's, and they brought us the Escape 700.
Welcome to MOTO MORINI Motorcycles. Italia del 1937, the legacy Italian brand known for quality, performance, innovation, and that great Italian style.
And Italian styling it has. With its ADV standard dolphin-shaped body and flowing lines that look like they were drawn in one confident swipe by Apple engineers, it looks every bit the part of a proper adventure bike. Big tank, wide bars, knobby tires, and a stance that says, yeah man, let's go. But before we get into the specs, let's address a huge feature. This 2026 brand new motorcycle that comes with a 3-year warranty retails for $8,299 here in the United States. Let me say that again, $8,299. So as we go over all the features, the modes, and the name brand components that are on this motorcycle, keep that price in mind. Because in no way does this bike feel like some cut price knockoff turd. The plastics fit tight, the paint shiny, the tires are no joke Pirellis, and the fit and finish of the controls is beautiful. Hey BMW, KTM, and others, the Escape's controls are freaking backlit. Yep, backlit hand controls, so at night you can actually see what you're doing. So what's your excuse, big guys? It's freaking 2026 in a minute here, man, and you guys don't have backlit controls? Sheesh. For those of you that need to hear them, let's go over the specs. Under the skin is a 693cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine, very similar to the Kawasaki Versys 650, if you ask me. This one's producing about 70 horsepower and 68 newton meters of torque, running through a 6-speed gearbox with a slipper clutch. MOTO MORINI claims a top speed of 115 miles an hour, which we might try to verify later on a closed course, of course.
And she's got 110, 111. Whoa! Come on. There it is. That's it, confirmed.
And I can confirm now that it's not just marketing fluff. The bike's weight is roughly 213 kilos dry. We'll call it about 475 pounds with fuel here in the United States. Fully adjustable Marzocchi 50mm upside down forks are up front and fully adjustable KYB shock out back. Remember that $8,299 price? Well, you even get Brembros clamping down on 298mm twin discs up front with Bosch ABS that you can actually turn off if you're heading out into the dirt. So this bike has proper ADV spec'd spoked wheels. I am of the camp that thinks adventure bikes need spoked wheels, and this definitely has them. They did not go with the 21. You get a 19-inch front and a 17-inch rear. The 19-inch front will help it be a little more nimble and agile on the road, and I can confirm that it is, and I like that a lot. It definitely is way more easy to flick than my Africa Twin. And not only that, but both of these wheels are tubeless. That's a huge win if you ever had to fix a flat on the side of a trail, and man, I wish my Africa Twin had tubeless wheels. It has a 4.8 gallon fuel tank and will get around 200 plus miles to a tank, so you're not going to have to stop every 90 minutes to fuel up. Add to that a 7-inch TFT that you can read in full sunlight with complete Bluetooth connectivity and media controls, and this is wild. An onboard front-mounted dash cam that records straight to your phone. You can have it loop record as a dash cam, or you can record when you want to, or even take pictures when you want to, all through the app. What a crazy feature on a bike that only cost $8,299. So how does the Escape 700 ride? Well, myself and a good friend Mike, who is a very accomplished rider, both took turns checking this bike out, and we recorded our initial thoughts. So let's hear what we had to say.
Hey all, it's Michael. I pretty much daily a Tiger 660 Triumph, and Steve asked me to take a try on this thing and see what my impressions were, my first impressions are. And overall, I think it's a solid little bike. getting off of my bike, which is a lot more sporty. You get on this, you got a nice firm seat that's a little wider, maybe a little thin, but good. And it grunts a little. It's got a nice little sound to it. It's not a monster, it's not a Ducati or a KTM, you know, V-twin, but it's a good twin. I think he said it's putting around 60 horsepower out. That feels about right. And I think you need to know how to ride to get on this thing, to be honest. Partly because of the size, partly because of the characteristics of the bike. It's a medium, I would say a medium advanced setup, really. It's got ABS, it's got Brembo brakes. They're running Pirellis on this thing. I've been throwing this bike around a little bit, and it just goes, it just does it. I would say it's smooth in the sense that there's no spikes anywhere. It's a nice grunty pull. It's good, and it's manageable. And it likes to rev. Second gear through the park's really all you need. It's 30, 35 through here all day long, and I had it up on accident a couple times over that. But as far as the brake setup and the suspension setup, which is adjustable apparently, I've got into the brakes as hard as I felt comfortable in a park with a bunch of people around, and didn't do a stoppie, but I did not find the bottom of the suspension either. So I'm 190, 220 with all my gear maybe. So I feel like it's good. It wallows a little bit in the transitions, but I found that if you grab the tank with your knees like you should anyway, and put all that weight into your pegs, that wallow goes away. And now that counter steer means something. You're not letting the bike be flaccid under you. Like, be part of the ride and the bike will ride. I think it's a very approachable bike, but at that price point, that sub 10, you know, premium 8, I feel like it's a solid deal. I mean, really for everything you're getting. If I wish it had some cruise control, I think it's a solid 7 for the category. I think there's a couple things that probably could get adjusted and it would, you know, maybe get me into the 8s range, but it's a solid 7 for sure.
All right, so it's gonna be the first ride on the MOTO Morini Escape 700. Starts up, it has a nice tone. It's reminiscent of a Versys, but a little bit louder. All right, here we go. It's got some pep. I am not mad at this thing so far. Okay, off the rip, if you've ever ridden a Kawasaki Versys, you're right there. It's probably in the same ballpark as how it feels initially. Very agile bike, man. Holy cow. Like, I can tell you right off the rip, this thing is agile. You could just throw it wherever you want it. Wow. So I figured my experience for the last, oh boy, 6 years has been an Africa Twin. And an Africa Twin has 95 horsepower and 70 foot-pounds of torque, and has a 21-inch front wheel and a 19-inch rear wheel, and overall it's a really awesome bike. I love it. It's one of the few bikes I probably will never get rid of. I have ridden it all over the country. I've put, 16,000 miles on it over the last few years, and it's a bike that I am intimately involved with. And so I can see that a comparison would be direct to this. This has a little bit better setup for the road. It's got a 19-inch front and a 17-inch rear, which will give you a little more stability on the turns, but you'll lose some of that ability to go over large stuff off-road. But I've never really been a huge off-road guy in my Africa Twin because it is a big, heavy bike. And now this bike is under 500 pounds, and so that's going to give you a little bit of a reprieve from the weight of the Africa Twin. But I can instantly tell you, just by jumping on this right now, this bike is much more agile. Initial thoughts, literally we just jumped on it. Both me and Mike just took it out and rode it for the first time. And to me, instantly, for the price point of $8,200 or $8,299 or whatever it is coming in at, this is a heck of a bargain for a motorcycle. Just going down through the features, you see that you're getting all this stuff at that price point, and you're thinking, well, maybe the stuff's just kind of crappy. Maybe they added all these features, but it's really low-end crap that they threw on there. Well, for my initial ride, I'm saying that that's not the case. The switch control, everything feels really quality. The TFT screen is very, very visible and usable. compared to most of the bikes where you have to kind of look down. It's just there in front of you. I have a feeling that there was a lot of design that went into the cockpit of this bike, because it kind of looks like a Tesla or Apple computer had something to do with how they put this whole screen together. So overall, just visually, aesthetically, everything, bike is all right. Initially when I went out, I was expecting a little more punch. It has 70 horsepower and 60 some foot-pounds of torque. Now I come from an Africa Twin. Africa Twin has 95 horsepower, I think 70 foot-pounds of torque. So even though it has more horsepower, it's still in the same ballpark, but my Africa Twin definitely feels a bit more grunty. That being said, this, when you're just cruising at 35, 40, 50, feels smoother. So I don't know if it's because it's a brand new bike and everything's kind of new on it and it's super smooth, but in that general 3,000, 4,000 RPM range, it was very smooth just rolling down the road. And agile. I noticed that compared to the Africa Twin with the big 21-inch front tire where it's just flopping around and you really got to push it through turns, this bike, as soon as you think about going in that direction, you're going in that direction of the turn. All right, so some of the relevant things that when you're first jumping on the bike: seat height. It's 32.2 inches with the stock seat. I'm 5'10" and it felt completely comfortable. I was able to flat foot almost. I was kind of on the balls of my feet, but not enough to make it uncomfortable. If you're a taller guy, they do offer a seat that's 33.4 inches, so almost a full inch taller. So if you're a bigger guy, they can sort you out with that. The seat itself is unbelievably comfortable. I had to buy an aftermarket seat on my Africa Twin. I had to modify that seat on my BMW quite a bit to be comfortable. And this thing, the whole time we were on it today, I didn't want to get off. In fact, if I could put this seat on some of my other bikes, I would do it. So I don't think you'd have to buy an aftermarket seat, which is a huge bonus. Great seat. Equipment wise, as you're looking it over, it has the hand guards, it's got mirrors, it's got a place to put your GPS, the bars and everything. Getting back to the ergonomics, I had to adjust my Africa Twin. I had to add 2-inch bar risers that also set the bars back an inch for me to be comfortable. This, I would leave it exactly how it is. The bar risers are perfect, the seat, the ergonomics, everything. Again, I'm 5'10", it fits me great, but I'm sure if you're between 5'8" and 6 foot, I think you'd be right in the pocket with this bike. The back rack here, something that a lot of bikes, they come with, but a lot of them aren't very usable. This one has a lot of points that you can put straps to, and it's got attachment points on the back. It seems like a very usable setup. You get Pirelli tires right out of the rip with this thing. That is not found on a lot of bikes. The tires make a huge difference. In fact, a lot of times people will say bike rides a lot better when they put a new set of tires on it that's better. So you're getting great tires right off the rip. So what the handling and responsiveness of this bike that you're getting when you first jump on it is what you're going to expect when you put a good set of tires on it when you have to replace these, because it comes with a good set. Now granted, these tires are partially knobby. This is an on-off-road bike. We're doing a test ride, so we did not take it off-road. This is not like a factory demo where we can go and beat on the bikes. This is an actual bike from a shop, so we just took it out here in the park and got to ride it. But for what we did, the tires are great. I'm sure with the pattern that they have for fire roads or doing anything like that, they're going to be fine. But I think if you're really looking for this to go super off-road, you might want to look into a more aggressive tire. Now, I have rode the 650 version of this, a bit briefly, but I did. And the extra 50 cc's on this bike, definitely you can feel that punch. I would equate this, Johnny Mac has a Versys 650. And this motor feels very much like his Versys 650, but I have to say probably even a little bit more refined. It feels smoother, and then the exhaust note that they put on here with the Canon system definitely sounds better than the Versys 650. Sorry, John. They really did not shortchange this bike anywhere. And on top of that, this bike comes with a 3-year factory warranty. 3 years, 36 months. So that's pretty rare. I think that they're pretty proud of their product, and I think they have a right to be from what I'm seeing today. Another thing, this bike comes with steel braided brake lines, straight from the factory. Now you might think, okay, cool, that's a bonus feature. Well, if you've ever been on a racetrack or you've had a bike that you've really pushed performance and you felt the bike brake with rubber brake lines, and then you've also felt the same bike under the same kind of conditions brake with steel braided brake lines, you will understand that those brake lines can give you almost a 10% increase in braking power because there's nothing expanding. The force of that fluid is going straight to your brakes. And again, that comes straight from the factory on an $8,200 bike. We're gonna go out on the highway and see how it does at highway speeds and see how it rolls on if you're doing 65. What's it gonna take to pass somebody at 80? Can you do it without switching gears? Do you have to drop 1 gear? Do you have to drop 2 gears? And how does it do? Okay, so now we're sitting here, we're doing highway speeds, 70 miles an hour. And if we wanted to pass, There, give it the juice. Can we pass without shifting? Yes, we can. All right, so we're getting back over. All right, no problem. So in 6th gear, doing about 70, you can easily get up to 85 plus to pass somebody. Here we are riding in traffic at 78 miles an hour, and I have plenty to get around anybody. Definitely not a problem to commute in traffic. Very, very easy to get around through in traffic here.
Real quick, if you could do me a solid, these take a lot of time to put together, so reach down and go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the like button. It really helps us be motivated to keep doing this stuff. Getting back to the bike. This bike, remember guys, it's $8,299. That's less than half the cost of my Africa Twin. Almost $3,000 cheaper than a Yamaha Tenere 700. And Moto Morini backs this bike with a full 3-year warranty. For that money, you're usually looking at a used ADV with a fabric hobbled service history and interesting dents. Here you're rolling out with a showroom fresh bike loaded with these features. A brand new 693cc 70 horsepower parallel twin engine with a slipper clutch. A high resolution 7-inch TFT display with Bluetooth and connectivity. A built-in dash cam. Switchable Boss ABS. Brembo brakes. Marzocchi and KYB adjustable suspension, tubeless spoked wheels, LED lighting, front and back, and a host of rider-focused amenities that many other bike brands charge for, like a center stand, handguards, an adjustable windscreen, and handlebars. Basically, everything you need to go explore. The Moto Morini Escape 700, it isn't just a bargain. It's a proper adventure bike that challenges the big names and makes you wonder why you'd ever spend more.